A very good morning to all of you. First of all, I want to thank the organizers for this wonderful opportunity to be with the participants. So I think it's a very, very interesting summit. The topic which is given to is very, very interesting. These topics really are important to shape up the future of pharma industry. And these covers, I think the team has done some research and they have come up with 5 or 6 subtopics which we discuss. I found them very relevant. Can you hear me okay? And these topics are, raised from pharma industry. The regulations are very important. Start with the regulatory framework. We come to the specifics. The challenges we have right now facing of us very, very current and also futuristic, like antimicrobial resistance. So important to pharma industry and healthcare and the patients. Then we have the pharma industry is going global and we have done a great job, right? And in pharma industry. That what can be done to make it more sustainable and to strengthen the access across the globe. The technology is coming up, the AI, I think all of us we are using it some way or other way. The AI and the machine learning, how it is impacting our pharma and our R&D. Are we using it enough? And then, globally, I think everybody is talking about the personalized medicine, right? That's the topic. And it's a very, very powerful panel here. I'm sure, all of us will be benefited by their comments. I'm specifically looking forward to hear from them and also some comments from the audience. So with that, I think the first topic, what we'll start is about maybe we start with an introduction and we give you a background so that the audience and everybody knows that the background and we come from experience and then accordingly we can have the discussion also. So over to Mr. Amit.
Sure, thank you. Mukesh, first of all, for a kind word of a powerful that you use in terms of the panelists. Like everyone in the audience, we are also learning, but we must thank you and Elets for having such panelists here. My name is Amit and I work as the head for Biopharmaceutical business unit for AstraZeneca Pharma India Limited. Now we have got 2 verticals in AstraZeneca. One is oncology business unit. Minus of oncology, everything comes under Biopharmaceutical business unit. Almost 27.5 years of an experience in the pharmaceutical industry, and now don't get a little shocked. Out of that, 26 years in AstraZeneca. So I did various roles, different geographies, different verticals. Last 1.5 years, we amalgamated all the teams minus of oncology, and thereby I'm leading the whole vertical of biopharmaceutical. I'm based out of Bangalore because AstraZeneca is one of the few companies. Of course, this is the hub of pharmaceuticals. That's what I heard from the previous speaker, but there are a few companies like AstraZeneca which still continues to be based out of Bangalore. Thank you.
Yeah, hi. I'm wishing you all a very good morning. So, my name is Nikkhil Masurkar. I'm the CEO of Entod Pharmaceuticals, which is a research-based specialty pharma company focusing in ophthalmology, ENT, and dermatology. We've been around for 47 years, and now the next 10 years are going to be very interesting because now we are into a new area of AI and R&D and indigenous drug discovery. So it will be very exciting, and I would like to also thank the organizers of this event for inviting me, and I'm sure it will be a very interesting discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think, Nikkhil, thank you very much for the introduction, and you have such a strong background. Now, I think regulatory science and the regulatory framework is very dynamic, and we have seen all of us we see some kind of change in regulation, something coming up almost every month. Now, I think the one thing what we want to understand from your perspective, that what India is doing in terms of regulatory framework, which is really important to streamline and strengthen the global market access of Indian pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, so often India is called as the pharmacy of the world. I would also like to rephrase that as we should be in the world of pharmacy, which shouldn't just include us as a manufacturing hub, but also as a research and innovation hub as well. To bring us to a standard, a global standard, firstly, we need to upgrade our GMP standards. And I think that has been done already. So firstly, there has been the revised GMP, which is in a draft form of Section M of the Drugs and Cosmetic Rules. That will bring us to a much higher global standard of pharma production and manufacturing. A lot of changes will be seen in that. For example, there will be the concept of having electronic GMP records, so there's no manipulation of records at the factory level. Better testing of raw materials before the production. There's a lot of provisions in that updated section of trying to upgrade our GMP. So that will bring us up to a higher level. Why this is important is because right now in India, out of 10,500 manufacturers, I think only 2,000 of them follow the WHO GMP guidelines or are on that standard, which means 8,500 manufacturers are not yet following those global standards of manufacturing. So we have a long way to go, and the best way to do it is to make sure the Section M is revised, which it is, and hopefully in the next year this will all be enforced. After that, we need to then adhere to PICS and other international regulatory kind of norms like the ICMRA. I would say in about 4 to 5 years, we should be kind of a quality drug maker of the world. Right now, we are focusing on low-cost generic manufacturing, which is great. I mean, we're doing amazing work. I think we have a long way to go in terms of upgrading this regulatory framework and creating an ecosystem of world-class quality. So that is what I think. That's the way we can actually upgrade ourselves.
Thank you. So maybe next comment to you, Nikkhil. And I think before that, maybe what we can do, it's such an important topic. Maybe after Amit, we can also invite one comment from the audience if somebody wants to, add something. It's such a diverse topic. Amit, Nikkhil, over to you.
No, Nikkhil, I think you made some very valid point. I think I would say that we need to harmonize ourselves to ensure that we are as per the standards of the international regulation. I mean, that's something which we need to, and for that we need to, as you were alluding to, we need to invest in the capacity building. We are great in terms of manufacturing, but what we need to, if we have to harmonize with the international standard, it means the capacity building, what he was talking about, upgrading ourselves in terms of the whole quality standards. I think 2 or 3 things, I'm also talking aloud here. I think it's time for India now to join some of the hubs which are globally available. One of them is ICH. I think they are trying to harmonize the entire world. Why don't India as a standby join that? And for that, of course, we again have to build our self-quality. I don't know how many of you know the US FDA started something by the name of Orbis, Mukesh. Now, Orbis is a body created by US FDA for the fast-track approval for oncology drugs. Initially, it was only Australia, Canada, and US which were apart, but now there are countries like Brazil, there are countries like Israel which are joining that hub. So they created that hub just to ensure that they are able to streamline some of the countries for the fast. But we wait for so much of an approval process. I think so. Time has come for India to join some of these hubs and build them. I think last but not least, I will also touch upon a very soft topic, which is about transparency and also managing the stakeholders. I think in terms of the processes, data. I think if we are more transparent, if we have a stakeholder management, which is great, I think we really can also not only become a manufacturing hub, but also one of our countries which gets very faster approval, and we are able to get those approvals much faster than the other countries.
Thank you. Yes.
Valid point. Schedule M, which is revised. 2 points we should not miss. I'm not FDA here, but they have mentioned every company has to set up pharmacovigilance system, which is not written in the Schedule M revised, but CDSU has mandated that it will be there in creating. And another point is they are saying every update of WHO GMP will be automatically included in revised. So these 2 points are again we have to take care. So that's, I think, we have to be cautious about it. Most of the companies, I think you are saying PV systems are not in place. So I think we need to see that response.
Thank you, sir. So, one comment. So, I think wonderful discussion. So, the takeaway for me is, I think one is that the Indian regulations, they are evolving. Number one. Second is also they should be maybe more proactive participation in the international forum like ICS, etc., and also the important part of ICH. And what I see in industry from industry that regulatory in India is actually gearing up to it. I think they have very very exhaustive training programs. They have now new breed of inspectors, so they ensure that you have the quality. In the sites, of course, there are guidances, but I think somebody needs to enforce them also. Right? This is one part. The second is also, I think, in terms of transparency, I think what I am seeing in the last couple of years, it has really increased. Not only if you see all those meetings, those minutes are really made public. I think the government is more vigilant, and we have some experts of pharmacovigilance also here, and they have experienced that how they have had their organizations, really during this journey. So with that, I think I move to the next topic, and the next, which is important topic given to us is, I think it's about the leadership, right? So we talk about the regulatory framework, we talk about the leadership. And in the leadership, one of the things what everybody is talking about is the women-led leadership, right? I think G20 recently happened. And when this topic was, we discussed with the organizers, I did my search, and I think in my company, we keep on talking about it, right? So, if we see the women in India, they represent around 18% of the workforce in general. So I'm a physician, right? If you talk about physician in our medical schools, you will see that around 50%, physicians. I mean, when we go in medical college, around 50% are girls, right? And sometimes it's 60 to 70% also. In the healthcare, I'm talking about. We know that Indian. I think there was a parliament, bill also passed. They'll make 33% representation. In pharma industry, it is 11%. I think we are not doing great. And I think women, they bring a new dimension to the leadership, right? I think I can see in my company, it was one time, it is actually managed by women leader. In our board, we had the majority women. And then we see that it makes a difference. Right? So now I move to you for your guidance, because you have really worked in your organizations to really on this initiative. Any comments, any guidance, any experience you want to share with the audience, and also the same what you are looking at the India level, at the in your company and at the India level, that what is being done and what can be done really to strengthen the women-led leadership.
Thank you. Mukesh, a very, very contemporary question, I would say, in a forum like this, where probably these questions do not come. It's not we usually, and that's probably our mindset, we believe this question needs to be only asked into an HR summit and not into a pharma group summit. So much thank you, Mukesh, for asking this question. Now, the home itself is a witness. I mean, we are a 48-52% world in India. The gender ratio is 49 versus 51. It's not highly skewed towards men. but the room itself is a witness. Are we having even a 33% representation of the women? But you touched upon a topic which has been thoroughly researched. I'll quote a paper, and I must ask every one of you to read that paper, which was a multi-market, multi-country, multi-sector research done by McKinsey. It's a dated paper, almost around Mukesh, 7 to 8 years before paper. They did almost around 3 years of a research in different industries, different countries, just to find out why do we want to do a diversity equal in the companies. Is it good to do things? Because in many forums, it's always great to talk about women empowerment, gender diversity. But they came with a very, very hard-hitting truth. And the truth was, those companies which have got an equal number of females, they are more profitable and they are more productive. And they had a science behind it. They said, and I see some smiling faces of the women here, they said that, and again with due respect to my male colleague, I myself being a male, that they said that science talks about that the women's brain are wired in a way that they can do multitasking better than the men. I mean, I'm not saying that you can go to the paper. So the point I'm trying to say is, it requires a discussion, it requires that whole huge mindset change to have a lot of women involved into industry, and we are talking about a pharma, and you are absolutely right, the number is somewhere around 15 to 18% in our pharmaceutical industry. Now, what can we do about it? I mean, here are few of my thoughts, because I, in AstraZeneca, was leading the inclusion and diversity. So diversity comes also with an inclusion. So that was something that I was leading in AstraZeneca India. Now, I'll take you a little step away from the industry, and I'll say that can pharmaceutical industries invest in the mentorship of females and encourage them to join the STEM, as we call it, science, technology, engineering and mathematics, and become their sponsors? Can they do a sponsorship of those? Can they also do a mentorship of those, which is at a time of, and you rightly said, at the time of academics, can pharmaceutical come? And there are some companies globally, at least AstraZeneca globally is doing that, if not in India, and we want to start that, which is science for women. So they sponsor some of the medical colleges in terms of encouraging females to take up the science stream and do a scholarship program. I think we need to start from there. Two, how do we get more women in the leadership role? I think a structured programs needs to be started, which are the leadership academy targeting women. Till the time you don't start, you can probably hire them, but as you move up the vertical, and you would have seen in MBBS you might have a 50% females. When you go to MD, you have further less females. When you go to DM, and if you look at the data of how many DM females are there, the ratio continues to drop, because at one particular point of a time, probably that elevation does not happen. So in the industry, if we can start some of the programs which are the leadership academies targeting women, making sure that they are a part of the curriculum and they get that whole environment, I think that's something which I am of a very strong belief. Third is creating the whole inclusive environment in an organization. I think which is very, very important, which means equal pay, which means flexible working hours, which means giving them some of the facilities which are not probably given currently today, because that would foster a lot of females to come. And there are many organizations, and I heard your CHRO of Cipla doing some amazing work. I was reading across her interview where she said that she has been able to devise some of the women-friendly policies in Cipla, which is a great example of how industry can lead. We recently had Mahindra and Mahindra actually talking about some of the policies which are like industry leading. So these are some of the inclusive workforce that we need to do. Fourth, I also would recommend that, and we do that in Astra, partner with some of the external bodies which have got trained themselves, which are master in terms of inclusion and diversity. They can handhold the organizations, they can build curriculum, they can build programs, so that we are able to get on to those whole level of leadership and then recruitment. Last but not least, I think we also need to work a lot with our managers. There seems to be a bias in terms of recruitment itself. I can tell you from all the functions I have worked, including sales, marketing, a little bit of a stint in SFE that I did, there are some biases which we need to have. So I think unconscious bias is something which we also need to be very, very clear as we are working in the organization, to change that mindset of how can we hire more females and what is the productivity that they can give. I think these were, Mukesh, some of the 3-4 points that I wanted to bring.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I think from my own personal experience, I've attended a lot of leadership summits all around the world. I've had that privilege. I actually feel personally that women are better leaders than men. This is my personal opinion. But I think it's not about who's better. I think it's not even about inclusion or diversity or anything like that. I think it makes business sense when you have an equal ratio of men and women in any organization. The environment of creativity, innovation, efficiency is much better. In my own research team, about 60% are women. But it wasn't like that before, but now we find a much better and healthier balance. So I think when business owners, when business leaders, CEOs of organizations realize that there's actually a business sense in having equal number of male and female employees in their workforce, I think that automatically will kind of come from within to have a right balance, and there will be less discrimination, and there will be inclusion by default. So I don't think we need to think of it. I think there's a strong business case here also to be made, that when there is that healthy balance, it always works out. So we are not looking at who's better. I mean, yes, we all have our skills. Even between two men, we'll have different skills to kind of add to the team. So I'm not looking at it from that perspective. And yes, we do lack women in leadership roles. But I think that will happen automatically in India in the next 5 to 10 years. Now, our parliament, for example, will have 33% of elected representatives being women. So I think the pharma industry has a long way to go from the current 11 to 12% that we're at. I think it will happen, and I think India is ready for it now. And I'm actually quite optimistic that in the next 4 or 5 years things are going to change.
So maybe one comment on this from audience. Yes, sure.
So I'll build upon what Amit said. There's a very interesting study which was conducted some time back by OPPI, which is Organization of Pharmaceutical Producers of India. And what this particular study indicated, that overall, if you look at a ratio of women in pharma workforce, it kind of hovers around 9 to 11%. But what is more important, and what will have a long-term impact, is women in sales force. So overall, sales force represent for OPPI companies anything between 60 to 80% of the workforce, and this particular ratio for women is as low as 5 to 6%. And one of the change which is kind of really required to make a long-term impact is increasing the input of women in sales roles and creating fast-track program for the development. If in case we can increase this particular input in the long run, definitely it will change the game, and this is a more sustainable impact actually, which is much needed. Thank you.
So this is such an important topic. Maybe one comment from anybody who wants to comment, so that anybody, yeah.
I think all the relevant points have already been discussed, but it's not only diversity and inclusion. I have a little bit different opinion here. More important is equity and the open mindset. Once that starts, and I think now I'm the CEO of company, I'm the director of 5 companies at the moment, and I have led in UPen and Bhakri organizations, the departments, and have seen that open mindset helps women to grow, and there is a lot of support coming from home front. So it's good that companies are thinking in that direction, but sometimes companies may feel it's a lot of burden. So I would say it's just the open mindset. If people start working on that, probably that will go a long way in all directions.
Thank you. So thank you. I think what I understand is the recognition of the fact that it needs to be done. I think there is willingness to do it, both in the industry and also at the home. And also there is I think from the government sector also, I think there is a leadership which is encouraging it, right? With that, I move to the next topic. And next topic I think we are talking about is artificial intelligence and machine learning. It's everywhere, and I think it's coming in a big way in the healthcare. All of us, I think, we have some gadgets that will be telling us, okay, you have to walk 5 kilometers or 10 kilometers, we have said that we monitor our sometimes pulse rate, etc. So it is coming. It also has a big application in pharma industry, right? And I think digital transformation is taking place, right? So also, we have records in the hospital and health records. So the next topic is that how the drug discovery and development can leverage the artificial intelligence and the machine learning, particularly in the Indian context. What we can do. And this is also an important topic because if you see, I think we are a world's pharmacy, we are manufacturers, but I think when we talk about the innovation in drug discovery, I think India does not have a great history, but now we are at an inflection point where I think everybody is starting with these new strengths, right? New technologies. So what can be done really to by the government, by the pharma industry? What steps we can take so that we are timely, making some steps and we make some contribution in drug discovery development. And we have somebody in the panel who has really worked to, understand this pretty well.
Yeah, I think generative AI is going to be the future of pharma in India. And I think this is the starting point where we need to give it serious thought. A lot of these AI models, these generative AI models, can be used to accelerate the identification of new drug molecules, indigenous molecules. They can also predict the outcomes, they can predict side effects, they can predict the genetic susceptibility of these molecules. And I think that is the way forward. If India is looking at itself as an innovation hub where we can actually get involved and seriously get involved in indigenous drug discovery, I think AI is the only way that we are going to do it in a cost-effective way as well. Because as most of you may know, that if you use AI in a proper way, in a proper manner, you can save time, you can save money, and you can increase significantly, kind of enhance the efficiency of the drug discovery process. Now, for that, I believe that we need a lot of training. There's a lot of pharma researchers in India who are not that well equipped with AI models, especially with predictive AI models, generative AI models. I think we need a lot of training. There needs to be, I believe the government has set up AI centers of excellence. And I think those centers will be key in trying to equip us and our researchers for the next generation AI models that will allow us to kind of come out with these new therapeutic targets. So we have a long way to go in this field. And it's not just AI when it comes to drug discovery, it's also when it comes to optimizing existing drug molecules, finding new therapeutic areas of existing molecules. We can use AI and machine learning also in pharma manufacturing as well. We can have robotic process automation as well. We can use it in our distribution chains as well. So the application is unlimited in the pharma industry. And I think this is the time we need to learn about it. We are still about 1 or 2 years into knowing what AI was. I think most people in this room 3 years ago, we had no clue what AI even meant, more or less. Now we are trying to learn, now we are trying to get into it, and we need investment in this field as well. And I think it's common sense actually that in the next 5 to 10 years, if India wants to meet its 2030 objective and create an innovation-based ecosystem, we need to get into AI seriously, and investments need to be made in this field as well. Thank you.
I see time clicking. We have hardly 3-4 minutes left. But I think what Nikkhil you said is something which is, I think we all started knowing about AI, at least personally my experience, almost a year before when we had something like ChatGPT. We had no idea that you can just put on some of the words there and it can write your child's essay. We were not aware that we are going to, that's the finest form of an artificial intelligence. I think it's about, and in India we have got a data. And I was reading an article, Mukesh, which said that in last 2 years, the amount of data that we have generated last 2 years with the assets that we now have, we have not done in the entire human mankind. That's the power of data that we have today. The point is, and I think what Nikkhil was trying to say, how do you synthesize it? How do you use artificial intelligence to combine that data and draw a kind of a useful pattern so that you can take some great decision? I'll give an example of AstraZeneca. I think our R&D is and like many global organizations, is using it phenomenally. To discover a new molecule, it takes almost 2 to 8 years. I mean, that whole thing can be shrunk by almost 50 to 60% if you use artificial intelligence. Clinical trials, you can't launch a product without an RCT, Mukesh. Now, to do an RCT, it takes again a huge amount of time. Now, how do you do that? I think there are electronic medical records. I mean, it can be as simple as it. You have an EMR, and if we are able to structure the EMR, then you can have that population which you know is phenotypically or genetically a candidate for that drug. So, right from the inception of which disease you want to enter, which molecule, which are your target patients, I think artificial intelligence can actually do. I think you alluded to it. We are doing a project with the help of an AI, Nikkhil, where we are trying to look at the scans of X-rays. Our dream is to have almost around 1 million X-ray scans to detect early lung cancer, because it's difficult and a patient keeps on moving between a physician to a chest physician till the time they go to an oncologist. Can AI help us to? So it's not only about R&D, and Mukesh rightly said, it's also about diagnosis. How do you use it, those algorithms in terms of a thing to make sure? As you said, I think the whole operation teams, the whole pharmacovigilance, I think one of a very, very important topic. I mean, we have started using some of the real-time data to find out what's the side effect of the drug. So I think we are just bracing for the journey, and I'm sure with all these things that we are talking about, the journey seems to be pretty good.
If I just add one more point, I also believe that we need strong regulation when it comes to AI as well, because obviously there's also a great misuse potential here also. As fast as we can develop new molecules and targets, there is a risk of also a few people developing new viruses and new diseases using the same algorithms as well. So regulation is important, and I think the government should also give importance to that. And then I think we can really kind of take us to that level where we are generating our own new molecules independent of the West. That can be done.
Thank you. I think I see the time is up. Yes, so we can take questions. But before that, just maybe 2 sentences on this. So I believe that this AI, medical learning, and drug discovery and development, this is actually a very, very high potential area. Right? What we need to do here is, and that's what and there are many startup companies who are accessing databases, who are doing good. There's a need to collaborate between the physicians, the pharma industry, the IT-based startups, and those, and all of us, we come together and we analyze data. I think we can make a difference. Any questions, please, on these topics? There are 2 more topics. I'm not sure if we have time to cover those. One was about the antimicrobial resistance, but I'll take my maybe 10 seconds time. It's very, very important topic, right? And so I was with some panelists, I think a couple of weeks back, and and we don't realize it that how big is the problem. The deaths from antimicrobial resistant bugs is more than what we have seen in COVID. I mean, somebody made that very impactful statement, and this is true, right? So we call it a silent pandemic. We don't see it, but it's there, right? So an Indian pharma is doing actually a great job. I'm not sure how many of us know that. So the big pharmas, I think they are getting out of this business. But in India, it's a big problem, and I think we are making progress. I think we are having combinations, we are repurposing drugs, we are having policies. This is very, very, very important topic. Maybe today we can't cover it, but if there are any comments and we want to have some conversation during tea time, I'm just touching on this point so that all of us we are here. If not, then we can talk in small group. Second topic was what we can do about the personalized medicine. So now everything is personalized now. This is a great opportunity we have when we have data. And India also has a great potential there. Now we have all the data coming together thanks to the government policies. How do we use this data and we move towards a personalized medicine and we take a lead? Maybe that's the point of discussion. Not in this forum, maybe sometime we get a time in the future where we can connect offline. Yeah, so with that, I invite some questions if there are any. If you have time.
Any questions from the audience?
Okay, I think they know that we are already waiting a lot of time. So thank you very much. Thank you.